You know, it all started with this electric lamp I had as a kid. One of those vintage ones with fish swimming around in a pattern. I'm sure some of you guys have seen them. God, I love that thing. I still have it actually. Little 7-year-old me, I'd just sit there for hours just watching those fish go round and round. And it wasn't long before I started thinking, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have some real fish?
Mom, Dad, can we get some fish, please? Pretty, please?
I'd been asking for pets for ages, a dog, a cat, hell, even a snake at one point, but my parents always said no.
A pet's a big responsibility, kiddo. Maybe when you're older.
But this time, something was different. Maybe they thought fish would be easier to take care of, or maybe they just got tired of me asking. Either way,
All right, we can get some fish.
I couldn't believe it. They actually said yes. So we went to the pet store and I picked out one of those genetically modified glowfish, a handful actually. They were all the rage back in the early 2010s. Tetra, I think they were, the Tetra glowfish. And they glowed like little neon signs. I took such good care of them, named them all after my favorite Transformers characters. Can't remember most of the names now, but I do recall one, Dirge, after that one Conehead jet from the 1980s cartoon.
Autobot, meet your doom.
Everything was great until, well, accidents happen, right?
Son, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you'd already fed them.
My dad had accidentally overfed them. He didn't mean to, but they were just gone, just like that. I remember standing there, watching as we flushed them down the toilet. My first pets, the ones I worked so hard to take care of. You know, it's funny. You do everything right, work your hardest, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? But while that might be the end of my fish story, it's not the end of what I wanted to talk about today. Oh no, it's just the beginning actually. Today's topic is meritocracy and the hard truth about hard work.
Yikes, Drake. Have you tried being confident?
Senior year of high school was 3 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. That's when things changed. This new guy shows up, the typical Chad, tall, handsome, with that irresistible European accent, and suddenly it was like I didn't exist. Every girl on the cross-country team was head over heels for this guy,
Did you see the new guy? He's so dreamy. I heard he's from Europe.
including this girl named Autumn. She was a lot like me actually, always complaining about being alone, wanting a relationship. It was a feeling I felt too well. But Autumn, she had connections. Because you see guys, her best friend was Amelia, my crush at the time. Amelia. Anyway, it all came to a head at the town parade. Our cross-country team had a float. And guess who got prime spots up front? Our coach was a massive dick, and he was all like,
All right, kids, Amelia, Grace, Caden up in the front. Autumn, you're in the back with the slower runners.
But coach, I'm just as fast as them.
didn't matter. So, there we were, Autumn and me, relegated to the back of the float. And that's when she turned to me.
Hey, you're friends with the new guy, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And you like Amelia?
Fuck, how'd she even know that? Oh well. I was all like, yeah, I do.
I have an idea. What if we help each other out? I'll talk you up to Amelia, and you can put in a good word for me with the new guy.
And so at the time, it seemed like a foolproof plan. We set up hangouts, strategized, and we each talked to the other one's crush. But just like everything else in my life, it fucking fell apart. Amelia was all like,
Oh, sorry, Dre. I'm actually going out with Caden, the cross-country captain.
and the European kid was all like,
Autumn is nice, but I'm not really looking for a relationship right now.
2 weeks later, he starts dating some other girl. And despite the fact that we both failed miserably, I thought that we could at least be friends, just be an Autumn, nothing more. But I guess once she didn't find a use for me, our alliance crumbled. Autumn eventually stopped talking to me. And in fact, I even heard her telling her brother.
Don't bother inviting Dre to our graduation party. We're not really friends.
And there it was. All that effort, all those attempts to help each other, for fucking nothing. 2 friendships, Both her and her brother stopped talking to me, just gone in an instant. And they say hard work pays off, that if you try hard enough, good things will come your way. But sometimes, no matter how much you try to help other people, they don't care. And this whole thing about hard work and how, everything in life isn't really fair. For most black pillars and people in this community, that should be common sense. But if you go anywhere outside of here, you're gonna see that it's really not the case. For instance, there's this guy named Ace Gotchu. I'm sure some of you guys have seen his TikToks. I think he got recently roasted by Clavicular a few months ago. But basically, this Ace Gotchu guy is like a massive apologist for Indians. And I'm not saying that's like a bad thing, right? Like I don't think there's anything wrong with being Indian, right? I'm not one of those people who's like, oh man, I wish I was born white. I wish I was white. But the truth is, being Indian actually does severely detriment your chances when it comes to relationships and stuff. And there's this guy on TikTok by the name of Bala Subramanian, I think. And this kid, I feel really bad for him. He's not the best looking in the world. And, somehow Ace got a hold of his videos because they've been making rounds on TikTok. And you can really see how this whole hard work notion really comes into play when, Ace just tries to gaslight the hell out of this kid in his response video. I'll play parts of the clip here for you, just so we're all on the same page.
You're not funny, and this has nothing to do with being Indian.
Actually, it does have a lot to do with being Indian. Like most girls, in the Midwest, especially in the United States, Canada, England, they're gonna just see the fact that you're brown, and they're gonna automatically disqualify you. There's like ample evidence for this. I'm not the data guy, right? You can go to rehab or face an LMS for that, and they have studies on this. They've both those guys have numerous studies on that. But I think we can all agree that being Indian does not help your chances that much. No girl is gonna be out there, saying they are looking for an Indian guy. There's niches for other groups like Black, especially white, even Hispanic and Chinese to an extent. But with Indians, we're in that special category where there's not really a niche. Nobody goes looking for a South Asian partner, unfortunately. And that's the sad truth. So, it actually does have a lot to do with being Indian.
But it does have everything to do with being you. No one's gonna pick you, Neon. Like, his whole account is just him desperately making fun of himself for other people's validation. He's like a Vanish beta because it's a 2 out of 10 rage bait at best. So I don't feel bad when I say this. You're an unkept, hard to look at sellout. And
of course he's hard to look at. He has a literal deformity.
People like you are why others feel so comfortable being part of the anti-Indian sentiment on the internet. Being Indian is not why you're cooked.
Like I said earlier, being Indian is a huge reason why he's cooked.
It's your repulsive personality.
Oh yes, the classic, oh, it's your personality. I don't have to really say much for that.
And your inferior mindset.
Oh yeah, the whole inferior mindset thing, that's just a complete myth, and I'll tell you why. Back in high school, some people are gonna be like, oh, fake cell. And yes, I agree. I'm not quite as bad off as some of you guys. I actually did have a few chances to date here and there in high school. And, none of the girls that were into me were like, they weren't like 10s or anything. They were like sub 2. They were worse looking than me and most of my subscribers combined. And they didn't treat me really well either. Like nothing ever really came out of it. But, I had a worse mindset back then. I hated myself when I was in high school, right? And despite that, that whole bad personality, bad mindset, none of that mattered because, I'd at least get like a little bit of female attention, right? But now that I'm in college and I actually don't hate myself, I actually do have self-respect. I've been working on that. It's just straight crickets. Like there is no correlation between, your mindset and how well you do with girls. There really isn't.
And don't even for a second think that he's the victim because
pretty sure he is a victim. I mean, just look at him. Like, it's not his fault he looks like that. It's nobody's fault.
If you've seen even one of his replies on his own post, you realize he's more desperate for attention than Jack Doherty's OF models.
Except Jack Doherty's OF models actually get attention. Meanwhile, this guy just gets negative feedback constantly in real life.
I'm glad they tagged me in your video because I don't know what a sub 5 in college is, but
just look in the mirror and maybe you'll find out what a sub 5 in college is.
I do know that you don't need some tough love. You need a reality check.
No, he needs a Lafort 3.
I'm gonna go fit X. Fearless on you right now. The reason why you've never pulled a girl in your life is because you don't respect yourself.
I actually agree with you. People should respect themselves. I respect myself. I think everyone that watches my videos should respect themselves. I think respecting yourself is a great thing, but the way you think of yourself doesn't affect how other people think of you. Sure, maybe if you went around saying, oh, I'm such a loser, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe that might have some impact, but really 99% of it comes from the way you look and you can't really change that. So this whole respecting yourself thing, it doesn't really work. Like I said, in high school, I didn't respect myself at all. Like I said, I hated myself, but I actually got more female attention back then than I do now when I do respect myself. So again, there really isn't a correlation.
So why would she respect you? I think it's over for you because you're too lazy to find a good haircut.
Get a haircut. I'm not going to say anything to that.
And get in the gym.
Yeah, bro, the gym's going to totally fix his face.
Stop it. Stop blaming it on being Indian because not all of us are like you.
Yeah, I agree. Not everybody has a deformity. But even then, he's allowed to complain because nobody in the real world is probably listening to him. And he should have a place to complain about his problems. After all, that's the reason why I started this channel. I just need a place to complain about my problems. And again, I don't hate myself. I don't do anything like self-destructive, nothing like that. I just need a place to complain. And so does this kid. And I think it's really unfair that this ace got you guys like, oh, well, you can't complain on the internet. Like, dude, that's what the internet's for. It's an anonymous place where people can complain about their problems because nobody in the real world is going to give a damn about this kid's problems. You know, it's tempting to look at all this unfairness and think, oh, why not take a shortcut? Everyone else seems to be doing this. You know, I don't know how much you guys use TikTok, but right now my For You page is a bunch of morons who tried checking in illegal deposits, thinking that they were some 300 IQ scammers. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of how this glitch works, and quite frankly, I don't want to, but I can tell you there's no such thing as free money. In fact, I'm willing to bet that these are the same morons who think you could just print more money and everything would just work out like that. And they picked the wrong people to mess with too. If some dude kidnapped me and told me I needed to either fight a 10-headed lion with super fucking strength or JP Morgan Chase Bank, I'm picking the fucking lion every single time. You do not want to fight the fucking bank, bro. They have the FBI on fucking speed dial. Yo, what does this guy sound like Pops from Regular Show? And you might be thinking, but Dre, I don't rob banks. Why are you telling me this? And you see, the same fatal mindset that these fucking bank robbers have is the exact same mindset a lot of people in this community have, especially in the looks maxing forums. They think, oh, I could just blast steroids and get a 10,000 surgeries and look like Chad because that's all it takes. Like, bro, if it were that easy, I wouldn't even be here. Like, put down the fucking Diana ball and just listen to me before you end up like Sam Sulek or James Sapphire. There are no shortcuts. And I'm not saying this in a David Goggins type of way of, oh, who's gonna carry the boats? Stay hard, stay hard. I got shot in the fucking leg and I ran a marathon the next day. No, I mean this in a, the system can cheat you, but you can't cheat the system. So stop trying to outsmart it, because you're not gonna win. You know, and this brings us back home to my final example, which I personally think is the most brutal. You know, just this happened to be like a week or so ago, super recent. So my buddy Ned and I decided to go out to the bar for a bit, just for the hell of it. And, you know, I go in, and that's when I see them. These two guys from high school hanging out by the pool tables. And one of them used to, like, make my life hell. You know, he was a real dick. I'll just put it that way. So me and this guy, we make eye contact, and, you know, he starts looking up, because I guess neither of us really wanted to talk to each other, which is, you know, more than fine with me. But there's his friend, right? And this guy wasn't quite as bad, but he wasn't exactly a saint either. And, you know, he just invited himself over.
Hey, man. Long time no see. How have you been?
Now, I'm not really one to hold grudges because, you know, we're all adults now, right? So I played nice. I'm all like, hey, yeah, it's been a while. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, man. Things are great. Just started this sweet gig at an insurance company. My folks hooked me up. $25 an hour. Can you believe it?
You know, I'm all like, wow, that's, yeah, that's great. 25 an hour. 25 a fucking hour for a job his parents handed to him. Meanwhile, I'm busting my ass at the hospital for $12 an hour. A job that I spent 2 months training for, learning every procedure, every fucking protocol. This guy just gets a job handed to him. You know, eventually I turned over to Ned, and, you know, Ned's a bigger incel than me. You know, he's a 21-year-old virgin. And, you know, he was really uncomfortable with his drink, and he's just like, oh, I'm not really feeling this place. So I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, let's go. And, you know, as we left, I couldn't really help but think about how I used to love coming to the bar night after night for months on end last year, because I did that whole cold approach thing where I'm like, oh, I gotta put myself out there. I gotta make the most of college. And that's a whole video on its own. You know, this whole cold approach, all this fucking college experience thing. It's all just a fucking scam if you're, you know, some sub 5. But yeah, we just head out, And, I think back on it and, maybe it wasn't the place that changed so much. Maybe it was just me, seeing those guys, hearing about those jobs handed out like fucking party favors while I struggle every single day. It really puts things into perspective. And, that's when I realized this whole system isn't fair. It never was. All those stories about people's hard work paying off, they don't tell you about the people who work just as hard like me who get nowhere. Or the ones like that one guy who barely lift a finger and get everything handed to them. So don't listen to people like Ace Gotchi who are like, oh, you need to put in the hard work. You gotta put yourself out there, go to the gym, get a haircut. Because in the end, there's only so much you can control in this world. And it's okay to, not be so hard on yourself all the time. But yeah, I guess that's it. I'll catch you guys at the next one.
This is a certified PSL classic.